My name is Neve Campbell, and I play Sidney Prescott. Well, I thought the script was brilliant. It's rare when you read scripts that, you start the first few pages and then you don't put it down and you read all the way through without a break. And that certainly was my experience with it, because it was quick and sharp and funny and scary and all of that good stuff. The first film for us was like going to summer camp. It was just a lot of fun. We knew we were a part of something that felt like it was on fire. There was something special about it, but you still never know. We had no clue, really, of the success that this movie would have. And honestly, every time we do another one of these, it's like going back to summer camp. It's revisiting these characters, revisiting each other, lots of memories and a lot of fun. We all get along really well. So certainly on this one, to be with David and Courtney again was fantastic. I love them. We have so much history together. It's been beautiful. I certainly know Sidney. I know the character. Yeah, it's just like putting her boots on again and getting into it. And the script really flows again and is in keeping with the other films. And so it was not difficult. And the other actors, when we get into a rhythm with Dewey and Sid and Gale, we all fall into it pretty easily again. I read the script and I thought they did a great job. I had been apprehensive about doing another one without Wes. But Matt and Tyler sent me a really beautiful letter expressing how they became directors and were making this movie because of these films, and that they were huge fans of Wes and that they really wanted to honor him and honor his voice. And that meant the world to me to read that letter. So that was definitely a big selling point for me. And then the fans, I just know that there's a real draw. The fans love these films, and people always ask me, fans on the street will always ask me, you gonna make another one? So it's fun to get into it again and give that, The production designer's done such an amazing job of building the house to a T in a soundstage. It felt like walking back into the house. And certainly, there's an ode to Wes on the set. And so I got a little teary, to be honest, when I went on set. But it felt good. This film feels like coming back to the first energy, which is really nice. They're amazing. This young cast, they're just, first of all, they're uber fans, which was so sweet. They're just so excited to be a part of the franchise, a part of these films, and so excited to meet David and Courtney and myself. And they're just, I don't know, something about this generation. They're just really special. They've got it together. They're disciplined. They're committed. They have a love for the art. They have a love for these movies. And they're really just a sweet gang. So it's been a real pleasure. I would just say probably, what amazing job they've done with the production itself, and I think, if anything, working with these new directors and really feeling like they came into the fold in a really beautiful way, and it feels like a continuation. It's what people love about these films. It includes the fun, it includes the scare, it includes the sort of meta feeling and the cleverness of these movies. Lots of suspense, lots of thrills. Yeah, just a continuation of what people love about these films. Wes knew how to tell a story, which is the most important thing when you're making a film. And I think some horror directors just get involved in the gore or just the scare, and you don't really feel engaged with the characters. But Wes managed to do both, and with a lot of suspense and a lot of thrills. He knew how to time things in such a way that really got you going. Yeah, I think that's what made him special. He had a twisted sense of humor, and he had a sweet, sweet soul. He really did. He was respectful, loving, like a father in a lot of ways to all of us, and mischievous, and so talented, and gave me my first lead in a film, which I'm so grateful for, because these movies have done great things for all of us, Yeah, he was magic. He really was. People approach me often and tell me that Sidney gave them strength, that she was an underdog who overcame, that she was not a victim. And as a female actress in this kind of film also, it's really nice to get to play a character like that, like a heroine who is not a victim in any way and does overcome. And it's amazing. You just don't know when you're making a film how it's going to inspire people. And she has inspired people a lot, and I'm grateful for that. I'm excited for audiences to see a return to Woodsboro, and also for audiences to see this new young cast, because I think they've done an incredible job. And I think and we see a lot of Dewey in this film, and I think it's really nice to see his journey. These are big theater movies. I know that Scream fans like to go to these movies not once, not twice, but 10, 15, 20 times. They need to be watched with an audience because people get involved. People yell at the screen. People laugh. People scream. So I really hope that we get to see it in that way.
Arquette and I played Dewey Riley. When I first got the original Scream script, I loved it. It was just such a new take on horror films. It was so self-referential and meta, as they say nowadays. But I don't even think they had that term back then. But it really, it took into consideration people's love for horror films and understanding, and it really gave the fans a voice, and they respected what had come in the past, and they had fun with it, and they let you in on the joke, and I think that's really what connected with people. So when I got the script for the new Scream, I was really impressed again. It really did a similar thing where it took all this information that we've learned and all this technology and all these advancements and the love for like the fandom out there for people in horror films and the Scream franchise in general, and really like took all those things into consideration. It was really well written, really witty, really scary, and I thought it was a great tribute to sort of the legacy that Wes and Kevin Williamson had created to start with. Well, I was really impressed by Matt and Tyler with their love for horror films and how much Wes had an impression on them and how much they wanted to honor him with the making of this film and continue it. And that really touched me that, like myself, they'd been touched by Wes's work and were huge fans of his. So that really set me at ease and was like, oh, this is the right people. And since Wes's family was behind it and Kevin Williamson was involved and behind it, it gave me a lot of just confidence that they were the right people to do this. They really want to honor the films that had come before, and they really took that into consideration with, the characters that return, and really just have a great understanding for story. They have a great understanding for horror and comedy, which is really important. And they're just fantastic guys in general. It's really easy for me to sort of slip back into Dewey. I mean, in general, I usually draw my characters from aspects of my personality. Some are closer to you than others, and Dewey's very close to me. I always love the feeling that he kind of doesn't feel like he gets the respect that he deserves. And I've often felt like that, especially in the wrestling world. So, but he's also got this really childlike quality to him that, and he's really just a sweet person at heart. And believes in love, and love is sort of really the most important thing to him. He's a lot more rugged than he was before, and, life has a way of sort of toughening you up, and he's really sort of had a hard road. One of my favorite moments about this film is seeing the group of actors that they've chosen and just seeing how they've bonded, and then being able to work with Courtney and Neve and see them, it's something we've been working on for, on and off for 24, 25 years. It's interesting to become not you're like part of this history of horror now. And then you're working with people who grew up, well, some of them weren't even born by the time the first one was made. So it's like you're seeing this new generation having an appreciation for it. Now they're, in the driver's seats, and they're like, these incredible actors. I had seen Matt and Tyler's film Ready or Not, and I was really impressed by their skill and their sort of sensibility and how fun that film was and how wonderful they directed it. So I knew they were incredibly talented. But, and then I read the script and I talked to them. My stuff was sort of more character driven, like my feelings about certain things. And I understood the story they were wanting to tell. And as an actor, it's really your role to help people tell stories and figure out where you fit into their vision of what this story will be. So, I've had my little issues and feelings about certain things, but I trusted them, and I'm glad I did because they really did a wonderful job. I'm really excited for audiences to see this incredible world that they've been a part of for 24 years and these characters that they've loved, and to see how they've, progressed and where they're at. And I'm excited to scare them. I'm excited for them to laugh, and I'm excited for them to see this new group of incredibly wonderful actors just giving incredible performances. I'm also excited for people to see Dewey and Gale together on screen again. And Neve, I'm just really excited for Neve to come back, and the feeling that people get where she's like this badass again.
Courteney Cox and I play Gale Weathers in this new version of Scream. When Scream came out, it was just such a unique film. The horror genre had it felt like it had been played out a little bit, and all of a sudden Kevin Williamson writes this script where he, poked fun at other horror films, and there was a lot of humor in it, and it was so scary. And I just think it was a big part of pop culture. So I think that first Scream will, I think, be around forever and ever and ever, and be always looked up to and looked back at as one of the great ones. I've done 4 Screams with Wes Craven, who's this incredible man. And after seeing Matt and Tyler's work and hearing great things about them, I was like, oh, wow, what a perfect way to reinvent this movie. And when I read it, it was so much in the vein of the first Scream. Knowing that Matt and Tyler were directing this, and after seeing their film, they're just incredible. And they really know how to balance humor and horror. And reading the script, it was so similar in tone to the first one. I got really excited. It's really scary, and it's funny, and it's unique. When I read it, I was like, oh, I like when Gale is really cutting and competitive. So that was my only note, just to make sure we keep her that way, because there's a lot of emotions in this film, and a lot of heightened emotions, and things have changed. Like Gale, she's moved to New York. She works on a morning show. She's become more successful and more sophisticated, and she's no longer with Dewey. Wes is such an incredible man, and it's like, I don't know, for some reason, it always makes me emotional because he's so sweet. Anyway, he is an incredible director, but he's also an incredible human, and he is, it was literally life-changing for me in so many ways. But like silly memories that I have, I remember the first time that I had to really scream. I don't know if I had been stabbed or a gun, been shot. I don't remember, but I just remember saying, well, Wes, what happens? Like, you've directed so many horror films. What happens? Like, how do you do that? What does it feel like when someone, he's like, Courtney, I don't know. It's never happened to me. I was like, all right, thanks. That was it. Like, he had such a great sense of humor. And the last Scream, I remember we got really like slap happy on the set. Something made him laugh. And I had this video of him. I was filming him. He got the giggles. And to see Wes Craven, you always think of him as like the king of horror. He is so silly. He couldn't stop laughing, couldn't stop. And you'd see him just kind of try to not break, and be like, and he wouldn't stop. And he's just so cute. He's just the sweetest man. He was silly, he was serious, he was loving, he was caring. He was almost like a father figure in so many ways. he would sit and just like share his wisdom, but he'd also love to go out and have a glass of wine and be silly. He was just an incredible person and director. As far as Scream goes, he was great at balancing the humor and the horror, but there was something about the way he would film. You would always see him leading up to something. You're like scared before you were scared. It's just the way he would do certain camera angles, or you'd see him focus on something that you are like, oh, what's going to happen there? Why are we focusing on that? And then you'd be scared by something else. So he'd throw you off by his visual things, or lead you into it. He had a great visual style. I want them to see this incredible cast. I want them to, to laugh, to have the same kind of interesting callbacks. I want them to, they're going to experience a movie that's very similar to the first one. It's scarier, probably. It's how many, what was 25 years ago? So it's up to date in a different way. Even though Scream will always be classic, this is just like an updated, cool, hip, scary, funny movie. This movie should be seen with an audience because, when you're afraid of something and, when you're screaming, it's even scarier when you're in a theater with 250 people and everyone's screaming.